Hi, I'm Rasheed Ogunlaru, coach, speaker and author of Song Trend Book Hard Angel Business. Delighted to be here with James Patson of Start Direct. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you. Starting your own business is a challenge. It's an area that lots of people, more and more people seem to be thinking about or going into. And one of the biggest issues seems to be finance and raising funds. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're here involved in this particular startup loan scheme. Tell us a little bit about the scheme. Yeah. I understand it's relatively new. Just tell us a little bit about it and who it's for.
Sure. So the scheme's been running since June last year. Yeah. Now, it was originally an idea of Lord Young as part of a government scheme to generate jobs in the economy. Yeah. Now, the scheme was originally open to 18 to 24-year-olds, and that was kind of identified as an age group that is high unemployment. Yeah. There's also an age group that struggles to get finance from traditional places such as banks. Mm. And now, what happened with the scheme is Lord Young appointed James Khan as chairman of the Startup Loans Company now to oversee the scheme. And what has happened is delivery partners are being engaged across the nation to help deliver the scheme.
And now, so you're one of the delivery partners?
Exactly, yes. Mm. And we're based in the Greater London area, potentially looking to expand next year into some other cities north as well. Right. And the scheme is doing so well in the 18 to 24 age group that they actually extended the age range to 18 to 30s.
Got it, yeah. And because that's something that lots of people think. So it's now up for anybody 18 to 30. And tell us, what does the scheme allow people? Because I know that there's this classic area that many people say, you know, the banks aren't lending, it's really difficult to get a loan. Tell us a little bit about the actual scheme itself and how much money people can apply for and if there's any other eligibility criteria.
Yeah, just before we go into that actually, the age range just the last 6 weeks is open up to all ages.
Oh, fantastic.
So 18 plus, everyone can apply.
Fantastic, that's good. So that means, so I who might be just outside that age group.
Exactly, you can apply for your own business loan. So the scheme, what it's set up to do is provide personal loans to people who want to start their own business. Yeah. So the average loan size is about £5,500, so it is quite small seed funding. Yeah. At the same time, what we can do is lend to a business twice, so we can provide a top-up loan. Right. So in some instances, a business might come to us for a £3,000 loan to purchase some equipment, maybe to set up a website. Yeah. They may then grow that business over a 6-month period to a point where actually they need to take on staff, or they need office space, so they might need further funding. At that point, they can come back to us potentially for a second personal loan.
Okay, so they can come up saying, and you said that's a personal loan, so that's their personal account. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. So the loan itself is 6% per annum interest. It's a maximum of 5 years in length. And we can also offer a capital repayment holiday, which we set the time frame of either 3, 6, 9 or 12 months. And really that's to give the entrepreneur a break in terms of their costs, keeping costs low in that first year, when obviously it's a bit of a struggle to get revenues. Mm-hmm. As they generate revenues into the second year, then they would pay back their full repayments.
Right, and what's for if somebody's sat at home watching this, or they're on their office, they're watching this, or they're thinking about starting a business and they're watching this, what kind of stage, when you say start up, could that be that they're thinking about it? How long is start up? That they've been in for 18 months? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, I mean, the general cut-off is that we can only lend to businesses that have been trading for 12 months or less. Right. But we get a massively broad range of businesses that apply. So we can help someone who's just got an idea and they want to put that down on paper. We can help them with a business plan, we can help them with the application forms, and get that really from an idea stage to a potentially viable business where we can then lend to them. At the same time, we get companies coming to us that may have been trading for 6 months, they may be generating revenue, and we can lend to them as well. So there's a broad spectrum of from just an idea to actually up and trading.
Yeah, and you've run businesses yourself, so you've been there and done it, which is great. Yeah. Who would you say personally, who is this going to be apt for or not apt for? And an important thing I would imagine that's important to say, this is a loan, it's not a grant, you've got to pay back. You talked about the 6% and so on, and those early stages can be sometimes kind of precarious. So from your own experience, who are the kind of people who you really think that really should get in touch and who really are most likely to benefit from this, and perhaps who isn't apt for it yet?
Yeah, well, a part of the scheme, a massive part of the scheme, which I think is the most important part, is the mentoring. So every loan recipient also receives a mentor for a minimum of 12 months. Right. We also offer both pre and post loan support. So we run workshops, we run networking nights, we have an online community, we have a helpline that businesses can call in. So it's really about forming a support structure around those people who get the loans in terms of the mentoring and our support to help them grow the business. So really anyone who's got a business idea and wants to give it a go, they should definitely apply. Not only for the funding, which is important, but definitely for the mentoring. I mean, I know when I was starting out, in one of my businesses, I was starting a fashion magazine back in Sydney. And I mean, I didn't know how to run a fashion magazine. I didn't really know what I was doing. I quit my job before I had a business plan. I quit my job before I had revenue coming in. If I had had a mentor, he might have said at the time, James, why don't you think about maybe keeping your job until you've got advertising in place, or keep your job until you've got a full business plan in place. He may even said to me, James, is this really what you want to do with your life? At which point I would have said, actually it's not. I was just so keen to become an entrepreneur, run my own business, that I wanted to start a new business.
That sounds great, and I think you're so right, and I think that what's exciting about that to me, I mean, as a coach and somebody who mentors, it's great that those things are in place, because it is difficult, it is kind of challenging, and the fact that somebody has access to that and the peer support of other people sounds as though that's really good. So what will happen if somebody applies, if they're successful, they have access to all of that support as part of that whole process. They don't have to pay any extra.
Exactly. So the mentoring and the support comes as a package as part of receiving the loan. Even if we haven't awarded a loan to you, you're still welcome to come to our workshops and our networking nights, because we like to try and form a community of startups, and that's welcome to everyone, even those not on the scheme.
Well, that's fantastic, and it sounds as though you're personally. I mean, it's great. I just met you the other week. You kind of came along to the workshop I run at the British Library as a business coach partner, and one of the things that I was really impressed by is that you personally seem really passionate and you really care about enterprise. And lots of people think about when it comes to starting a business, they're going to be like me. Lots of people are very austere, or people are just numbers people and so on. You're actually entrepreneur yourself. You seem to be genuinely passionate about enterprise, and it must be quite good when people are meeting people such as yourself. Do you hear that a lot of the time? People are surprised that you're human.
Yeah, I mean, we do get some applicants come in, and we do, people come in that might be 19, 20 years of age, and they're quite nervous about the whole. And they kind of generally meet with myself or my business advisor, and they're kind of pleasantly surprised that actually these guys aren't some scary number crunchers. They've done it before. They're kind of willing to help me. If I'm not to a point where they can give me a loan, they're willing to work with me to hopefully get me to that point. They're willing to give one-to-one coaching, to invite me to the workshop. So it is kind of about support on the journey. And if you've been there, kind of made the mistakes in the past, you can be of real value to these people. So we do try and get across that we're trying to form a community and really make it a kind of fun and helpful place.
Well, that's really, really good news. And I just think that, just before we close, do we know anything about the lifetime of these kind of schemes? Because very often what will happen due to, often different government changes, different policies and so on, programs are there for a period of time and they're not there and so on. So can you tell us a little bit about how long this program runs? At the end of 2013 filming, this probably could be 12 to 14 by the time many people see this, or perhaps beyond. Tell us a little bit about the lifetime of this particular program.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the program was earmarked to run for 3 years in 2012. So the idea was that we would start 25,000 businesses over those 3 years and help create 100,000 jobs. Now, there's things being put in place to potentially get more funding for the scheme to maybe make it indefinite. I mean, the scheme has had such success. There's 10,000 businesses that have now been funded. That's in just over 12 months. So the success of the business in terms of businesses created, jobs created, has been fantastic. So if we can continue to make an indefinite scheme, that'd be fantastic.
Fantastic. And any words of advice to somebody who's watching this, thinking about what they actually are starting a business, so general advice and then advice in terms of...
Yeah, so I mean, general business advice. Applicants that come to me are always scared to get their product or their service out there. They want to have the funding to perfect it or the funding for the marketing to launch it. And I say to them, don't spend money on marketing in initial stages. Don't spend money on perfecting the product. Get it out in the market. Test it with your users. There's a great book called The Lean Startup, which speaks greatly about just get the product out there, get the service out there, no matter how bad it is. At least you can get feedback. It might be that you would spend months perfecting a product and realise that actually the market's not there and there's no demand for it. So if you get it out in a beta stage, you'll find that many times you'll chop and change a lot and save a lot of time and money in the long run.
And especially if you're able to, as you indicate, dip your toe in the water and see actually, as you're saying, getting that actual real feedback. Do people actually want it? Are people liking it? And so on. And then that sounds shrewd advice. So then you can plan, you can take the next steps, and presumably that's when things like programs like this can be invaluable.
Exactly, and again, I mean, in terms of you going to approach the program, even if you've just got an idea and you're not sure how to create a business plan, or even if you want to make it into a business, give us a call or drop us an email, and we can talk you through it and say, actually, maybe you're a bit early stage, but come to one of our business planning workshops, one of our cash flow workshops. So I would say always ask for advice. We're here to help.
Fantastic. And give us the web address for anybody who's wanting to track you down.
Yep. So if you want to email us direct, you can email apply@startupdirect.org.
Yeah.
Our website is www.startupdirect.org.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure, James. Wishing you all the best. I'm just going to leave you to smile at the camera as we end. But thanks very much, and wishing you all the best, and wishing anyone who's going to apply for this scheme or anyone who's starting off growing their business all the best.
Great. Thank you.